Have you been pwned? No, I don't mean have you been humiliated by a screeching 12-year-old Call of Duty player. I mean, have you checked your email addresses on haveibeenpwned.com to see if your login credentials have been exposed in a data breach? 10 or 15 years ago, I used to have just a single password. Then I started using 2 or 3 variations. Nowadays, the internet is crawling with scammers, hackers, and other cyber vermin like mosquitoes on a hot summer night. If your I love booze password gets hacked or leaked, suddenly all of your accounts are compromised. And unless you're real-life brainiac, you can't keep 25 passwords with letters, numbers, special characters, and hieroglyphs all memorized. That's where NordPass comes in. You install NordPass, put in the one easy to remember password, and then you can save as many accounts and passwords as you like, one for each of your bizarre fetish sites. It's easy to use and brings your account security up to speed. Give it a try at nordpass.com/Skallagrim and use the code Skallagrim for 50% off a 2-year plan, as well as an extra free month. Link in the description down below. YouTube reviewer first world problems. Too many swords. I don't even know when I'm going to get around to testing and reviewing all these. It's going to happen, but it'll take a while. So I figure I'd just give you a bit of a first impression for now, and because it's so many, I just wanted to put them on the floor, just sit down and have like a casual talk with you. You know, like if you were at a friend's house who shows you all this cool shit and you're like, oh, you damn bastard, why do you have so much stuff and I have one butter knife? Materialism, not even once. Anyway, so what I got here first is a Greek kopis from Chris Cutlery. This is actually the first Chris Cutlery sword that I own. I saw it on Cult of Athena and it caught my eye because it looks a lot more, like the blade looks a lot more accurate than most of the kopis reproductions you find on the market. The shape of the grip is also quite nice. It's got the horse, well, I'm not sure if this is supposed to be a horse head. That could be like looks like a duck to me. I don't know about you, but that's a duck. And seems, pretty comfortable. The fit and finish is like not the greatest I've seen, but it's kind of on the utilitarian side of things. So seems pretty good, and handling is great. This is, it has good heft, but it's still fairly light. So this is pretty easy to move around, and it should cut quite well. Now the edge seems good so far, as far as I can tell. Haven't cut with it yet, but yeah. We'll see. The weather has not been conducive to doing things with swords outside lately, so I don't know when this is going to happen, but hopefully in the not too distant future. Let's put it that way. Can you still see it all the way over there? I don't know. I just have this tiny little screen that I can barely see from here. And next up, we've got a D-guard bowie. This is technically not a sword, but a knife. I mean, one hell of a knife, right? Where do you draw the line? Sometimes people ask that, is this a knife or a sword? Where do you draw the line? Yeah, where do you draw the line? What's the difference between a very long knife and a sword? Sometimes you have the hilt to go by. A sword will have typically more of an elaborate hilt and a larger guard and all of that, and often a different construction than a knife. But with something like this, we're really in a gray area. I find it hard to call this a knife. To me, this is a short sword. But anyway, so one of my viewers kindly sent this in for me to test out, and I have done some chopping with it so far, and it has held up really well. It's a comfortable grip, and it's a pretty good blade shape for chopping. So quite nice overall. I like the D-guard. This is made by Windlass Steelcraft. Then we've got the Cold Steel hunting sword that Cold Steel himself sent me for review. And well, when I unboxed this and handled it for the first time, I was like, okay, yeah, they did improve for sure. The handling on this is way better than a lot of older Cold Steel swords that I got my hands on. this is really nice. This is well balanced, feels like a proper sword. It's really silly to handle a sword while sitting on the floor, but that's the format I picked, and that's what we're stuck with for now. So pretty nice shell guard here. I like the shape on the D-guard. One thing is a little unpleasant about this, I'm sure you can guess. Yeah, it's all these studs here. They're kind of hand shredders. I mean, it's not super terrible, but it feels like gripping a metal pineapple, if you know what I mean. That's exactly what it feels like. This grip feels like a pineapple. And yeah, it's a little rough. I mean, nice traction and all, but I think this is a glove kind of sword. And considering that, this would be a nobleman's hunting sword, yeah, they probably use gloves anyway. So makes certain sense. And the edge on this one seems quite good. Blade geometry. In fact, more than quite good. I think this is pretty sharp. It can be a little deceiving sometimes, just feeling with the hand and doing the nail test. It passes that. But sometimes, it's more about the blade geometry than the sharpness at the apex. And then we've got an entire pile of LK Chen swords that they've all sent me. I didn't ask for them, but I very much appreciate getting them. Apparently, like every new sword, goes right to me. It's pretty amazing. It just makes it difficult to catch up and get around to testing and reviewing all these. So first up, this is the magnificent Jujin. And yeah, it is pretty magnificent, I would say. It's a really pretty blade. Just look at that. It's got 2 fullers, and they have pretty defined ridges, like in the center and on the sides, that's great. That looks really good, and that really gives you some hints about the Bronze Age origin of this design. These were originally, or at least the predecessor was a bronze blade, and yeah, you've got the pattern welded pattern. I was looking for a better way to formulate that, but the pattern welded pattern. That is what we got. And this is a very, very light sword. I don't know if you can tell just looking at it, but oh boy, this is fast and light and agile and beautiful. Like, this is really nice. I like the cord the cord wrap on this. It's got a disc pommel, and I've heard, I think it was Sword Sage who said that, the interpretation that this is for slapping on it, basically to drive it in. I don't know if that's how they were used, but it's a pretty interesting hypothesis. And this is great. I mean, these all are. I can tell you that already. But yeah, really, really pretty sword. I've done some cutting with some of these, but definitely have to do some more. Okay, then we've got the Flying Phoenix, which you've seen in the cutting video with Sword Sage. If you haven't seen it, what's wrong with you? Check it out down there. And this is a different blade profile. It's a diamond cross section, and this one is even lighter. Like, this is just absurdly light. Really quick swords. Crazy. Simple cord wrap. Also has the disc pommel here, and small simple guard. This is much more utilitarian than the Jujin. Apparently jian is how you pronounce it rather than jian. I mean, this is probably still heavily accented and everything, but oh well. Then we've got the Striking Eagle, which is one hell of a sword. Like, look at how long this is. I mean, while I'm sitting, it's a bit harder to tell, but I mean, this thing is long, like crazy. I keep saying crazy. I don't know what it is. Do you know this thing where on certain days you favor particular words for some reason? What's up with that? I don't know. I've never understood that. Anyway, so this is a two-handed sword, very clearly. It's got some decoration on the guard here. Also that style of pommel. This is similar blade profile to the Jujin. It's also got the, I'm not sure if I would call it fullers on this one. It kind of looks a bit shallower, but what I really like is you've got basically just lines. You have toward the edge, you can see one line there where the fuller starts, where it starts to dip in a little bit. Then you've got the central line, and then another line toward the edge. And then, of course, the outer lines that are formed by the edge itself. So, very pretty. And this one, also really light. I mean, you wouldn't think a sword of this length, you wouldn't guess that it's light, but it really feels like it. This is very, very easy to move around. Quite flexible, but cuts well. This is the Striking Eagle, which is very similar to the Roaring Dragon, also large two-handed sword. And this has this interesting cord wrap, the white on top of the black with the individual cord here running through the center. And yeah, similar blade profile again. It's pretty similar to the Roaring Dragon, except it has a different pommel. This has a pommel cap, basically, as opposed to the disc pommel. And yeah, same here. Very quick and agile despite the size. Then we've got the White Arc, which is a beastly cutter. Quite a number of these are. This is nice, really nice. They all are, but this is again diamond cross-section. Oh, I haven't even mentioned the edge so far. It's very similar across the board. These are sharp, like really sharp. They are very well honed all the way to the apex of the edge. There doesn't seem to be any secondary bevel, can't see it. And yeah, these cut, like, they are edgier than an emo teenager, I can tell you that. And this grip here is nice. It's, again, very simple, but it works and it's comfortable. This blade is long and thin. There is a distal taper, and like you can easily see the distal taper. With some blades, you have to take calipers to it. This in the video you probably can't, but this you can just see the distal taper at a glance immediately. And yeah, very, very well balanced, lively, and the blade profile makes it just zip right through the target. Great, I like it. This is the Royal Arsenal Infantry Han Dynasty, and this really surprised me. This is by far the lightest sword I've ever picked up. I think this is under 400 grams, if I remember correctly. It weighs nothing. This is like a cane. The grip is not very thick. If you have large hands, this would disappear, basically, in your paws. And so this feels almost like a children's sword. I don't mean that in any derogatory way. It's just, it's so small and light. Yet this was designed as a soldier's weapon for the battlefield. I was actually at first wondering, is this like an extra light civilian carry sword, intended to be not cumbersome at all, being able to carry it easily and all that. But no, apparently this is a soldier's sword. And yeah, it's minimalist, which is what you want, of course, to equip soldiers with. very light, so you can really swing this around for a while without getting tired. It's single-edged, also very sharp. Doesn't cut as well as the others, I found, just because it has so little mass that you need to really follow through a lot and control it well and put more power into it compared to the heavier swords. But it's fascinating. It's a very interesting sword. So far, I've not found anything negative about these. The only issue I've had is there was a belt attachment on here, which is still on my belt. I actually wanted to leave that on so I don't forget. This just popped off, and just from wearing it, I wasn't rough with it. It just came off way too easily, and there's not even any glue residue on it. Whatever they used to glue it on just was nowhere near enough. But that's the only thing I found so far. Now, this is going to be tricky with the testing, because a lot of these are delicate, I would call them, like the blades. They're very thin. Now, they are designed for fighting, of course. So I should test them accordingly. I'm not going to chop into wooden logs or anything, but I have to come up with something. I have to come up with something to simulate battlefield use without beating them up too much, because they're just too nice. I don't want to damage them. But I also want to see how well they hold up. This one arrived just today, actually. This is the Double Dragons. Oh boy, Double Dragons Suidao. Came with this tassel here. I was told that the tassel is not intended for fighting. This ring here is designed to put a lanyard on, apparently, so you can keep it in the hand more securely. If you look at the overall shape, it's like a tangdal, and it's got these brass flowers here. You already know what I think about that. I hate metal fittings rubbing on my hand when I use something. This is not too bad, but it's still noticeable. Make sure I whip myself in the face with a tassel here. But I very much like the shape of the handle. Again, this is a really slender handle, and it's very smooth, well shaped. Can be used with two hands. I would call this pretty light too for the size. For a Chinese user in the 7th and 8th century, this may not have been the lightest thing. I don't know, but I like the ring pommel here. Look at that. That's really nice with the decorative patterns there. Very pretty overall. This is original. This is 100% original on a sword that was found as a direct reproduction. I cannot blame anyone for that. That's just how it was. And I mean, the lanyard makes sense. And I think it depends on probably how you grip it and whether you use gloves and, you know, getting used to it and all of that. So, yeah, interesting. Definitely looking forward to trying that one out. I mean, I'm looking forward to trying all of these out, obviously. Why do I keep putting it back in the scabbard? I want to put it down here like that. There we go. We got the Yomikuni Kingslayer. Now, I already did an unboxing and first impression of this in another video. It's just one thing I want to point out right now is this feels really, really strange after handling all these Han Dynasty swords. This here is from the Ming Dynasty, 1368 to 1644. So quite a different design. This is so much heavier, like way heavier. This weighs 1.2 something kilograms, which is about Viking sword weight. Well, I shouldn't even say that. Viking swords came in a wide variety of weights, all the way up to 1.8 kilograms, I think it was. And this feels substantially heavier than any of these. These are all like a kilo and under, something like that. This is, now it's pretty well balanced. Like it doesn't feel like a crowbar, like top heavy or anything. But oh boy, it just, considering the length, it's fairly short comparatively. And there's so much mass in the hilt. It's a bit of a dead weight. Like it does not seem like the liveliest sword that I've tried. So I don't know if that's because of the original, if they were like that, or if something went wrong with the design of the reproduction. I can't say, and this is my problem with reviewing Chinese swords in general. I don't have sources. I did it again. They're generally in Chinese, and I can't read that, of course. And I haven't found really good English sources. If anybody knows anything, let me know. I can still, evaluate the sword as it is, for cutting practice and as a collector's piece and all of that. So, yeah, a lot to get around to. Unfortunately, winter is still going to rage on for at least another 2 months. Hopefully I can set up something in between, but lately the weather has just not played along. But we'll see how it goes. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this kind of sword hangout, I guess. Thanks for watching and have a good one, folks.